Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi, everybody. This is Cynthia, just me today because Brittany's out of town, but I have Jaycee with me this time.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. Jaycee, me, and Brittany have been, our schedule's been a little off lately. So I know this is the first episode she's missing. I just missed the one a couple of times, episodes ago.
Hey, it's all good. Everybody, they got their own life going on. Sometimes things come up. So
yeah,
I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, me too. So we got 304, titled An Attempt to Tip the Scales, aired October 26, 2005. It says it's party time in Tree Hill. A masquerade ball at Tric provides the opportunity for Haley to win back Nathan's heart and for Brooke to seduce Lucas. Fall Out Boy performs while Peyton tries to come to terms with a new mother in her life. Meanwhile, Dan gives Deb an ultimatum, but soon finds she's a much more worthy opponent than he thought.
I really liked this episode. It was entertaining. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, even though it's not really technically a Halloween episode, I still think of it that way just because of the costumes and everything.
Yeah, it seems like one to me. Like, yeah, it was a dress up or masquerade party, but it seems like a Halloween episode.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got. I loved all the different costumes throughout it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so that's why I don't know why they called it a masquerade party, because it was just costumes. Like nobody was wearing like the ball gowns or the eye masks or anything like that.
Right, that's kind of what I was expecting because our senior prom we did masquerade themed and it was more like ball gowns and masks and stuff. And this was like dresses, whatever you want to dress as.
Yeah. So we start off with Lucas trying on costumes at a store with Haley, and they have their moment because he doesn't like the way he looks in that like Flintstones costume.
He looked a little silly, but I thought he was cute at the same time.
Yeah.
Only thing I kept thinking when he kept doing costume changes, I'm like, man, how much time did that take for him on set to have to do all those wardrobe changes?
Yeah. Yeah, because Joy had said in the Drama Queens podcast that they just let him do whatever he wanted. They just gave him a whole rack of different clothes and he just tried them on like that. So
I was super curious, like, did he get to pick his costumes or did they pick them? So that's really neat to know. That's a fun fact.
Yeah. And then, he has the Jack Sparrow costume on last, and Haley says that he looks hot, and then they have their moment of being kind of awkward, since they're friends and everything like that.
Did you notice, like, they even did his eyeliner for that costume?
Yeah.
It was spot on.
Yeah, I don't know if he did that supposedly or Haley did, but yeah.
It was cute. I like that scene.
Lucas is hoping this party will make Brooke decide to rethink the whole non-exclusive thing.
Oh boy, I thought he was gonna go as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing that he didn't after all that.
He's an amazing Jack Sparrow.
I mean, I still wouldn't have gone with Brooke's costume, but they weren't really technically planning like a pairing costume thing, so.
Yeah, I thought there would be more of like the only ones that paired their costumes really were Peyton and Brooke, and I thought there would be more themed couple costumes and stuff.
And then they talk about Nathan and Haley's costume because she's trying to impress him as well. And then they have their thing again where Haley says she could go naked to the party and it wouldn't make a difference. And Lucas' response to that was ew.
Such a brother-sister thing.
And then somehow Dan ends up at the hotel room where the mayor was and catches him.
During that scene, I couldn't help but think, did he catch the mayor or did he set the mayor up?
Yeah, that's a good question because the timing of that was something. That's what the girls said on Drama Queens as well. Like, how did he know that he was there like that?
Right, because I'm wondering, I'm like, the way when Dan walked out, the guy seemed like he was tied up. Like maybe that was something he was into, but like, or did, we know Dan's so sneaky. Did he pay those girls and say, okay, leave this door unlocked and I'm going to come in?
Yeah, he could have. Yeah.
I wonder, because they didn't really say. So,
right.
This is something I was kind of thinking at the time, like, ooh, that dirty dog Dan.
Yeah, he probably did since he, made him drop so he could campaign for mayor himself.
Exactly, because when he paid that woman to get with Keith. That's
Yeah,
what it was kind
jewels.
of like a flashback to for me. I was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's too bad they didn't really clarify that when that
yeah.
happened.
I'm curious what other people think on that.
hmm And then at Peyton's, her dad walks into her room. She's working on her angel wings for her costume because, Brooke's going as a devil and she says she's going as an angel.
When she said angel, I'm like, that doesn't seem very Peyton.
Right.
Like,
Until later,
it's
then
not
it makes sense.
yes, when you see her
hmm
later, it's like, okay, okay, Peyton, I see you.
hmm And then that's when Payne tells Larry like she knows about Ellie, but Larry didn't know about that, so he wasn't keeping anything from Payne about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was kind of a shocker to find out, and I feel bad for Peyton. Like, even though she doesn't want nothing to do with her, it's like, dang, she just loses everybody in her life, and
hmm
I can't imagine how she's feeling.
And then Deb finds Dan chilling out in the backyard, and he ends up saying that he'll sign the divorce papers if she signs his declaration for candidacy to run for mayor. Made that deal.
Dan Scott as mayor. I'm terrified for that
Mhm.
town.
Yeah. So me and Brittany were talking about too before that we're surprised that they still haven't gotten divorced yet after all this time.
For real. Is
Yeah,
it
and
just
now
it's because of the stubbornness, isn't it? He don't want to sign.
maybe I don't know, but now he's using it to his advantage, make
Right.
himself look good and have like the perfect trophy wife.
He's always got a way of that.
hmm Yeah, because he even purposely signed the divorce papers at a later date, so she's kind of trapped now
Mm,
for 60 days.
yeah. Gosh. He just is conniving.
hmm
He's like the character everybody loves to hate, but like
Yep.
I was watching it today with my friend Jenny, and I was explaining the show to her. I'm like, that's the guy nobody likes. He's the
hmm
villain of the show. But yet it's all I feel like it wouldn't be as entertaining if he wasn't there, you know?
Right. And then at the apartment, Haley is playing on her guitar, working on a new song as Brooke is sewing at the table. And Brooke tells her to, speed up the tempo. And then she starts singing For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. Haley's frustrated.
She's like, no.
Yeah.
Sounded so familiar, but that's what it was. It's got to be hard as a musician to come up with something original these days because I feel like everything's been done. How do you keep coming up with original stuff? That's crazy.
And then with Haley being frustrated about her music, she's going after Brooke, saying, the devil doesn't have sequins or feathers. And she's, not using the pattern and everything. So just, criticizing her work. And Brooke says, it doesn't matter because, in her world, that's what the devil looks like.
Yep.
And her costume turns out really well anyway. So I don't think she needed the pattern anyhow.
Yeah, she's so talented. Like to freehand sew that? What?
hmm And then Brooke, mentions Haley's costume. She's thinking about sexy nurse or Catholic schoolgirl, Playboy bunny, but Haley is not for it.
What does she
And
say? Sexy, not slutty.
yeah. And then that's when Brooke thinks of the classic Get My Man to See Me in a New Light costume. And Haley asks Brooke if she has a classic Get Her Man to come to this theme costume because she's not even sure if Nathan's going to go. And then Brooke ends up going to see Nathan, at his house. And, tells her that, or tells him that he should think about going to the party for Haley.
I love Brooke for that. Like, what a good friend.
hmm And then, she tells Nathan that Haley is hurting and how hard would it be to stop by and smile at her and tell her she looks cute. And then she, talks about the music. She hasn't written a song since they split up. Plus, her talent is tied to him.
Yeah, Nathan's like her muse for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
People, okay, I'm a little bit confused. Why is everybody like hating on her so bad?
Haley, because she left Nathan for the tour.
Um,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of badass. She went on tour and she's a high schooler.
hmm Yeah. That's really impressive.
Yeah, how many people can say that?
hmm
But all at the same time, Nathan is the popular one of the school, so.
Right.
I guess if you look at it from that aspect, she's kind of a nobody in their opinion. But when we're
Mhm.
watching, it's like, dang, she's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. And then Lucas goes into the cafe and finds Haley to ask if she's talked to Brooke about her costume yet because he kind of wants to match with her without her knowing. And then Haley mentions Tommy Lee.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And Lucas asks if this is some kind of California thing Brooke picked up in the OC.
Where did Haley even get Tommy Lee from? Did Brooke mention Motley Crue, Tommy Lee at all?
Well, she just said to Lucas, how do you feel about head to toe tattoos and a nose ring? That was,
Oh, yeah, I did hear that part.
yeah.
And then he showed up and yeah, it's Tommy Lee, and I'm like, whoa.
And then it was funny that the OC was mentioned too, because that's the other show that was going on at the same time as this one, also on the
That's
CW
what I
or
thought.
WB. Yeah.
Kind of like a shout out to them.
And then that's when Lucas goes into the cash register when Haley isn't looking to take some money.
That was shocking to me to see because they're so close. It's like, I feel like he should have mentioned something to Haley because that is going to come up on her at the end of the day. It's her shift. She's the one watching the store. And it's obviously, it does come to that. It looks like Haley stole the money.
Yep.
It's messed up.
Yeah, he's just been keeping that a secret from everybody. His meds.
Yeah.
He's trying to pay for it. Yeah.
You probably don't want to worry no one, but at the same time, it's like, at what point, at some point, you gotta say something because they're gonna think other things. Maybe you got a drug problem. Who knows? If money is coming up missing.
Right. And then the next scene, Larry goes to see Ellie to find out if it's true that she has cancer. Ellie says it is, and opinion might be a risk for it, but the only 10% of all breast cancers are genetic, and that he might want to get, Peyton checked out later.
I'm curious how true that is today still, if it's still 10% genetic or not. Just curious because, cancer runs rampant everywhere and it's something I think about personally because there's been cancer on both sides of my family. So I always wonder.
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah. And then Larry asks Ellie, what about her? And she explains that she was in remission for a while and not anymore, of course. And then he thinks it's some kind of karmic payback. I don't know for what though, because she doesn't say, but Larry says he doesn't think like that. And he asks Ellie if this is why she came back to make things right with Peyton.
I wonder if she's thinking because she gave up her daughter, but it's like at the same time, that's really probably what was best for Peyton. And is that selfish? If you're doing what's best, is that something you deserve karma for?
No, because we know that Ellie had a drug problem at the time, and that's why she gave up Peyton in the first place, too. So it was best for both of them.
Yeah, so I don't think, if she's looking at it in that way, yeah, I don't think, that would be karma type of situation. Because she could have done a lot worse things. She could have kept Peyton and gave her a shitty childhood. Things could have happened to her.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ellie says she just wants to get to know her, and Larry asks so she could lose another mother. Then Ellie says, it's not what she wants. She was in remission when she first arrived in Tree Hill. So me and Brittany were talking about that because I don't know if you saw the episodes before, but Ellie had been watching Peyton since she was about 10 years old.
I did see some of the episodes before, but I didn't realize it was that young. She's been watching her since.
Yeah, so for the last 7 years. So we were trying to think of the timeline. Did she get cancer first when Peyton was 10, or was that later? Just a little confusing how they mapped it out.
Yeah, because she was talking about when she first came around, she was in remission. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's never specified, is it?
Yeah, so she tells Larry not to worry. She's not going to have Peyton watch her die. And, Larry says, yes, think of Peyton first.
Know that, though. She doesn't know when she's going to die, and she has cancer again. She's battling it again. She can't say she's going to beat it. I mean, she's probably being optimistic, but at the same time, it's you can't say that for sure.
And she tells Larry if he wants her to leave for good, she will. Just say the word. She's his daughter now. It's up to him. And then at the clothing store.
Sorry. It says she's been his daughter. What does she even mean?
Yeah, I don't know. And then at the clothing store in the mall, Brooke works at, she's sewing, and that's when her manager walks up asking if that's one of their pieces of clothing. And Brooke says it's inspired with a few modifications, and then explains what she did. Because she's making her costume for the party.
Yes. I think it's cool she's making her own.
Yeah, I didn't think that she would do it at work, though.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, a lot of people do things at work they shouldn't, but no, you ain't getting paid to sew. get to work, dust some shelves,
Mm-hmm.
straighten some things out.
Yeah. And that was funny how the manager also commented about the devil not having feathers. Like
Everyone is
Haley.
just hating on Brooke.
Mm-hmm. And that's when Lucas walks in, so Brooke hides her costume.
Oh, Lucas. He
And
just
then
popped up on her at work.
yeah. And then he says she might want to warn her other boyfriends if they plan on seeing her at the party because he thinks she's gonna be tied up, so to speak. And she
Oh my
says,
gosh.
and then they, talking about each other playing hard to get. And Brooke says that doesn't mean that they can't have fun in the meantime. And
They
Luke,
both love each other. They just need to set aside their differences and be
mhm,
together.
yeah. So I feel like they did waste a lot of time before they got back together by doing this
Oh,
game.
absolutely.
And then Brooke tells Lucas that she thinks her costume is going to change his mind about the whole commitment thing. But we know how that turns out later.
Oh gosh, that did not go as planned.
Hmm. And then there was that moment where a customer came up to Brooke and asked if there was a matching thong with the bra that she was holding. And while making eye contact with Lucas, she says they do.
So she never even looked.
No, I just
But
thought that,
maybe she just knows they have matching thongs to all their bras.
yeah,
Hmm.
I just thought that was her way of like kind of telling Lucas like try to imagine her in that same bra and thong with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was looking at him when she said they did. So,
She's like, yeah, I do, honey.
hmm,
Come check it out.
yeah. And then in Dan's office, Deb walks in with a rack of clothes with four men carrying new things she brought. And she explains it's for the new campaign, new wardrobe. To be the candidate's wife doesn't come cheap. Appearances are everything.
Well,
And
hey,
hands
if
him the
she's
shopping
supposed to
belt.
be with she better milk it for all it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
He's mm, he's the devil. He should be going as the devil.
Yeah. And then the next scene is with Larry finding Peyton in her room with her costume on. She's changed it to like an emo look.
Much
And Larry said that he thought she was
more
going as an
Peyton.
angel. Yeah, and Payne explained she's the angel of death. She thought it was appropriate, with Ellie and everything.
That's that's sad.
Yeah. And then Larry talks to her about how the worst part of her mom dying was explaining how, she was suddenly gone. One minute they were going to talk about having dinner that night, and the next she was gone. And then he thought about like writing everything down about her to tell Peyton, about her as
Yeah.
she grew up.
I think that's a smart idea. Like they have these books out there I've been seeing that you can give to your parents and like they got different prompts in it for them to answer different questions and things about themselves. And I think that would be something really special and neat to have um just to look back on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Larry says that Ellie has the one thing her mother didn't, a fair warning, so no time for regrets or wondering.
He's not wrong. I mean, she's got the time right now. But
Mhm.
then again, if I was Peyton, I don't know how I would feel. So I really can't speculate too much because I have never been in that kind of situation. So I don't know what that would be like.
Mhm.
But at the same time, he's right. Like, do you really want to let her die and regret never knowing her and asking her things only she knows?
Right. And then Nathan is at home going through his photos from high flyers, including one with a girl that never was brought up again. But
Who is that girl?
I know, yeah. After all this time now, we see that he did talk to somebody else while he was there.
Oh, that bothered me. I was like, oh, everyone's mad at Haley. Who is
Hmm.
this woman?
Yeah. And then he's messing with his ring and then calls someone saying that they should meet up after the costume party, but Haley can't know.
Oh, I just put a couple things together and we'll get to it.
Okay. Yeah, but as you can see, they set up to make it look like that maybe he called her for the picture.
Mhm.
Yeah. And at the costume party at Tric, Brooke and Haley walk in. Brooke demands she doesn't mess with her costume no matter how uncomfortable it is. Because Haley's all dressed up in that Sandy costume from Greece ending.
Haley looked good.
Yeah,
She
she
pulled
did.
that off so good. But
Mm-hmm.
what I didn't realize till later, I kept looking at it. I'm like, how did they get Haley's hair like that? Did they dye it? It was a wig.
Yeah. Yeah.
She pulled it off really well. She was
Mm-hmm.
an amazing Sandy.
Yeah. And
I
then
was surprised to see Mouth as
yeah.
Elvis. I was like, whoa, okay, Mouth, get it.
Well, actually, he was dressed as John Travolta from Saturday
Oh,
Night Fever.
I thought that was Elvis.
No, yeah, I see how you could have thought that, but yeah.
I had no clue. Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, he did look like him too a little bit.
I was kind of wondering why Elvis was off. I was like, it's Elvis, but like, it's not quite Elvis.
hmm
Makes more sense that it's John Travolta. Okay.
Yeah, because
I
I
feel
did.
silly.
Yeah, that's why him and we can have that dance later on. It's like a
Yes.
from the movie. Yeah, so it's the same song too.
So is that dance a same dance that they did in that movie?
I never watched the movie, so I watched the clip of it on YouTube, but not really. Maybe there was one part that was similar, but yeah.
Because I thought it was so weird. I'm like, in TV shows and movies like this, when people like just randomly dance together and that it's like synchronized, I'm like, how?
hmm
In no way. I'm like, oh, that had to have been rehearsed. Like, I can't see two people in real life getting together and the dance being that synchronized without it being rehearsed.
Right.
Just seemed a little unbelievable.
hmm
It was cute though.
Yeah. And then Mouth is still dealing with his heartbreak over Erica.
Poor mom.
Yeah. Because he said he's not going to spend his senior year chasing after someone that doesn't care about him anymore. And you could see like Haley's face that she was having that realization about the same thing with Nathan, kind of.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that's what I've
hmm
been doing.
Yeah. And then this scene was kind of funny at Dan and Deb's. With Dan hears Deb moaning, so he goes to find the sound. And it's her with her fitness trainer apparently
I thought she
stretching
had
her.
some movies or something playing. That's what
Yeah.
I thought it was.
hmm Yeah, so she's stretching her legs on the floor with her trainer. Now, I've never had any trainers, but I don't think they ever get that close to you like that.
So, that was like above and beyond.
hmm
I don't know. I think he might be a little more than a trainer.
Yeah. And apparently that room was his room, so Deb threw everything out so
I
he could
think that's hilarious.
yeah.
Get him, Deb.
Yeah, especially she said that she threw everything out the window and then the sprinklers came on, so she had to throw everything away.
That's great.
Yeah. And then back at the party, Brooke is fixing Haley's costume when a guy in a Batman costume walks in, which we know is Nathan.
Oh, Nathan, that looked like an expensive costume.
Yeah,
I want to know what store he went to because our costume stores don't have costumes that nice.
right. But I don't know, maybe his mom or dad maybe got something for him.
That could be.
Yeah. But it was smart because he said that at least with that costume, he can like look around without anyone seeing him.
Yes, because you wouldn't know it was him unless you looked super close.
hmm And then Peyton sees Brooke with Haley across the way and tells Nathan that she hates to say it, but his wife looks pretty hot. And then Nathan, because of his costume, has to turn his whole body to see her. Yeah,
Batman.
but then tells Payne that Haley always looks hot.
I got a Batman costume. And you know what? Last time I wore it was not Halloween. It was to a Comic-Con type event.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. A little fun fact.
Yeah. And then Haley walks up to Payne after Nathan walked off, and Haley tells her she looks great. And if she's talking to her yet, and Payne says not really, but she guesses she's talking to her.
Yeah,
So I'm
she
kind of
looks so uncomfortable.
yeah, I'm kind of surprised they had Peyton be so mean to Haley after she came back because when she first left, Peyton was the only one that was like supporting her and going after her
Mhm.
dream. So I'm surprised they did the whole flip around with Peyton.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And then Payne explains it wasn't her. She's not that needy, but points out to Haley that she didn't even call Nathan when she was gone, and Haley says she did call him. And then she lets Haley know that her husband said she looks hot, so if she still loves him, that's her way in.
Oh.
And then Payne leans over at the bar when Mouth walks up to her saying he likes her costume, and Payne tells Mouth he's the hottest guy there with his costume. Just then Lucas walks in, and Payne is disappointed while
Oh,
Mouth likes his
Lucas.
costume.
It's hilarious. They started playing Motley Crue for him when he walked in, the Girls, Girls, Girls song.
Oh, I didn't even know that, but yeah, that makes sense.
Only reason I know it's a Motley Crue song is because I hear it at work every day I work.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So it's like kind of perfect they put that song on.
Mm-hmm. And then Payne explains to Mouse that Brooke isn't gonna like this because he thinks Motley Crue is the least sexy band of all time.
They're crazy. There's a show about them. Netflix made a movie about them, and it's just wild. It's insane. They like trashed a lot of hotel rooms, did a lot of drugs, and were just wild.
Yeah. And then Lucas walks up to Brooke, and Lucas asks what's wrong with Tommy Lee because Brooke's just laughing, and she says it's because he's 40 and looks like that. And Brooke tells him he should have been a pirate, okay, Jack Sparrow.
He
And nothing
did
like
make a
little,
way better pirate. I mean, but
yeah.
as far as Tommy Lee, he did really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
he did look like Tommy Lee.
Yeah, he did. But just then, who we know later as Rachel comes up to Lucas saying she heard that they got back together because he's dressed as
Oh
Pamela Anderson.
yes. Now, who would just come dressed as Pamela Anderson like that? That was just wild.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the odds of that?
For real.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like
And
a
then,
set.
yeah. And then she asks Lucas to dance, and Lucas and Brooke look at each other like, should I? And will you? And Rachel says, unless he's seen someone, and Lucas says he's not exclusively. So he goes to dance with Rachel.
That little, not exclusively. I
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, Lucas, rubbing it in.
Right. And then Brooke walks over to Payne at the bar, and Payne asks if she's okay, and Brooke answers peachy as he watches Lucas with Rachel, and she just looks disgusted. So, she's giving off mixed signals because she's acting like she's okay with Lucas seeing other women, but, off to the
Yeah,
side,
she's
she's definitely
really
not.
not. It's like when it comes down to it, Brooke wants to just be with Lucas. But
Mm-hmm.
she's playing hard to get or whatever. I don't know. They just need to be together already.
Yeah. And then back at Dan and Deb finds Dan in her bed. Dan says she told him to find another place. Yeah, she told him to find another place to sleep. And now he's, has no clothes. So now
Yep.
he's naked. And she ruined his clothes.
Oh my God, that scene got me. So when she got in bed with him
Mm-hmm.
and she opened up the nightstand, I totally thought she was pulling out a vibrator. And she freaking had a taser. That was
Yeah.
just gold.
Mm-hmm. He even fell off the bed.
That was too funny.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if, like, in real life, if somebody tased someone like that, would it really make them jump so hard they fell off the bed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I love that scene. I'm like, you get him, Deb.
Mm-hmm. And then back at the party, Haley finds Karen, who's dressed as a cop. And I think she's the only adult there, but
It seems like it.
yeah. And Haley's looking for Nathan, but Karen doesn't, hasn't seen him.
Hmm.
And Haley says she's doing well besides for her costume making her uncomfortable with the heels. And apparently the underwear that's sticking into her rib cage. Yeah, but since she can't find Nathan, she's ready to go home.
I don't blame her. She looked miserable.
Yeah. But then that's when Karen brings up the whole money in the cash register.
Oh, that bothered me because I mean, I guess I get it. She's covering for her friend, telling Karen, yeah, she took it. But now Karen thinks Haley's a thief.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand a thief. So I wouldn't want to be labeled as one.
Right.
I don't know. It bothers me that she took the blame for it when she didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And then Haley volunteers to be the waitress for the party to make it up to her. Then a second, she has a tray. She takes a couple steps in those heels and falls down.
Oh, I
And
felt so bad for her. Everybody
yeah.
pointing and laughing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she probably already feels embarrassed enough as is. She's uncomfortable the way she's dressed. Her man doesn't want to give her no attention. And she's just not having a good time. And then to fall and everybody's laughing and pointing.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I felt for
Yeah.
her.
Mm-hmm. But just then, Batman, aka Nathan, scoops up Haley and sits her on a chair. He takes off his mask, and Haley says, asks if he likes her costume, and he says, not really, because it's not her.
He's not
And
wrong.
Haley starts to explain that it was Brooke's idea, and she just wanted him to see her again.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan says that that's not the problem, and a sexy makeover is not going to fix everything. And then she, says she looks ridiculous, and then she kind of feels embarrassed now and runs off and, crying.
Yes.
And then back to Mouth and Peyton, he's asking if she's having any fun. She says not really. She was excited to see the band, but she had to force herself to come to the party. And Mouth says same for him. And they're just both dealing with some things. And then Payne adds someone had spilled soda on her wings too. So that was after all that work.
No. Mouse saying, yeah, I think that was me. Oh my God. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, Mouth did that. Leave it to
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Yeah, so that's when Mouth gets the idea for them to dance to make it not so sucky anymore. And that's when they, like you said, do the dance from the Saturday Night Fever.
Still can't believe I thought he was out. Oh my
Yeah, and then
gosh.
Karen introduces Fallout Boy, but she calls him Fall Down Boy. So that
Oh
was
my
kind of
God,
awkward for
how
her.
embarrassing. I would
Yeah.
be so embarrassed to
Mm-hmm.
enter the band wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so Brooke walks off to find Haley backstage and she's taking off her wig and some of the makeup. And Brooke asks what she's doing. She says, she's missing the band. And Haley says this was a bad idea. And Brooke points out that Nathan talked to her. He swooped in like a knight in Batman armor. And Haley yells, that's not the
Yeah.
point. She looks like an idiot, not herself. And, it's just,
I think Haley's too much in her head right now.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's saying that, dressing up like this doesn't work. It's not who she is. She's a tutor, a nerd, and Brooke tells her she's a rock star, and Haley says not anymore. She's just Haley, and that should be enough. Which is
Aww.
true. Yeah.
She is a rock star, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She needs to remember that at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
She's a badass chick, but all she wants is her husband, and she's not getting that attention.
Right. Yeah, so she tells Brooke she's gonna go home. And as Haley is on her way out, when who we think is Nathan, because it's a guy in a Batman costume, shows
I
up.
was thinking it's not Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my gut instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know if he
Especially since Nathan was like, this is where I was going with that earlier. I was
Mhm.
like, oh God, it makes sense now. Okay, Nathan was like, let me meet up with you to the other girl after this party. I think Nathan stopped by and left. And I think that was somebody else that kissed her.
Do you remember who that was later?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because here Haley is just saying, telling him thanks for the help earlier, and she just, freaked out like a baby, and she just wants things to go back to the way they were. And that's when the
Makes
Batman,
me wonder, would you know your husband's lips from somebody else's?
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Hmm. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
plot twist.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, but that was a pretty smooth kiss and, leave from him
Yes.
because he like dipped her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, Lucas goes to the apartment to check on Haley, um, to see if she was okay. But I don't know why he waited until after the party to make sure she was okay. That was my thing.
Right. Like you've seen her take off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he questions her, why didn't you run after Nathan? Why didn't
Yeah.
he run after her
Yeah.
when she left and he's worried and they're friends?
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas is leaving to go home and thanks Haley for the costume advice and to remind him to never let her spy for him again. And then,
Oh, that was hilarious. He really should have been Jack Sparrow.
yeah. But then Haley mentions the money from the cash register and lets him know that, his mom thinks it was her that took it.
He needs to come clean about that because, like he said, like it's for his heart meds and stuff. But now, now his mom's thinking that Haley's a thief, and that's not fair.
Yeah. So you would think now that he would tell her or tell Karen about what's going on for real.
Hopefully, he does because otherwise, it's just gonna make Haley look bad for longer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Peyton goes to see Ellie while she's still wearing her costume. So when Ellie answers the door, she says, Angel of Death, you're a little early.
I was kind of surprised that she got the Angel of Death, but I mean, I guess they are mother and daughter.
Yeah. And, Peyton's just there because she says that she doesn't want to be curious about her and she can't help that she is. And Ellie says she's selfishly glad that, that's one battle that she's losing. And
I
then
was
Peyton
looking at the
confesses.
two of them there. I'm like, yeah, that does kind of look alike. Whoever
Yeah.
casted the role for her, the mom, Elliot,
Mm-hmm.
like they did a good job.
Yeah. And then Payne confesses that she's scared of forgetting her, her mom, Anna, because that's her name.
Yes.
I was surprised because Brittany's the one that reminded me that was her mom's name because we had the other Anna in last season here.
Right.
So I was
The
surprised they
the sister of what's
Felix,
his
yeah,
name?
Felix,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm surprised they used two names like that, but
Well, Anna is a common name though, so
mm,
I guess that would make sense. But yeah, you would think in a TV show they would use different names.
yeah. Then Payne goes on to tell Ellie about the whole t-shirt thing with her mom and smelling like her.
That made me so sad. It
Yeah,
made me think about like just the sadness of like I don't want to lose my mom, but I know I'm
hmm
gonna one day.
yeah. And then Payne says, it's bad enough that she's into music. She doesn't want to find out that she's an artist too, because there are some things she knows she got from her mom. She had to, and she doesn't want to change that.
I can't blame her on that because she almost feels like the whole identity of her mother is being erased.
hmm Yeah. Nellie says, the tendency towards drugs, which she would love to yell at her about, that's from her, but she can't draw to save her life. And she tells Payne, that she saw the sketches in her room. That's from her mom. And as far as her dad's concerned, when he sent her away those years ago, that was the right move. She's done questionable things in her life, and she would have sent her away too. And Ellie says that she wants to know things that, she'll let her know. And if she doesn't, then that's fine too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm glad that Ellie is, letting Peyton call the shots here because before it was kind of like forced on her because Ellie was kind of like showing up in her life all of a sudden and just kind of doing
totally
things
not
too quickly.
fair.
hmm
Yeah, disrespecting her privacy.
hmm
Kind of crazy when they were in her room going through her stuff before.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her on that. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah. And then back at Tric, Chris ends up meeting up with Nathan.
freaking
And
hate.
then what?
I just hate Chris. He's just so
Oh,
cringy.
yeah, because
Always trying to get into Haley's life.
so this is when we find out that Chris had been sending letters to Nathan when he was at High Flyers. And, back then they made it look like it was coming from Haley.
Yes.
And then
That was wild to find out.
yeah. So Nathan tells Chris that he can help Haley with her music. She's in a slump. And
Bad idea, Nathan.
mhm. Nathan says because even though Chris is an ass, Haley's music came a long way with him. And he said in his letter that he'd do anything for her. And Chris points out like what makes him think that he can trust him, and Nathan says he doesn't trust him, but Haley does. And if he
That's
touches,
true.
yeah, but if he touches her, he'll crush him anyways.
And he probably already did.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, it's
That
going to cost a
dirty,
lot.
dirty dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris says it's going to cost a lot to do everything, and that he's really liking the watch that he's wearing. Nathan tells Chris not to screw with him, and Chris just, makes it a deal if he can have the rest of his sandwich. And Nathan
That
says
was
it just stays between
great.
them. Yeah. So I'm surprised that Nathan was able to come to this deal with Chris because the whole last season he just, did nothing but hate Chris and couldn't stand him. So,
Yeah, for him to all of a sudden have this change of heart.
hmm
It's a little out there.
yeah. And then back with Deb, the phone rings and it's Dan. He's sorry and never meant for this to happen. And he's talking to her from the couch in the living room with his clothes on this time. Apparently, he got new ones.
Oh, why? Where's this coming from, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Little did we know he's just getting at her.
Yep. Yep. He put glue on the landline phone.
Oh, like did she not feel it when she put it to her
Yeah.
ear?
That's what I was thinking too.
Like once you feel the wetness, I would
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah.
And
Then it was.
super glue dries super fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to have been quick to put
Mm-hmm.
that glue in there and then run downstairs and call her.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he made it worse by using that air horn into the phone.
Oh, okay. I'll admit I don't like Dan, but that was clever.
Yeah. And then Brooke finally gets home after the party and Haley asks Brooke how was the rest of her night and Brooke says Lucas thought he could make her jealous with that Baywatch bimbo, but too complete at that game. And then Haley
She
tells Brooke
set
to
him up.
what?
No, she didn't set him up, but
Oh,
she didn't want him. She
right,
was like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
what else was he supposed to do?
And then Haley tells Brooke to be careful because Lucas's heart is more fragile than she thinks because now Haley knows about Lucas's heart condition.
Oh, Ooh, yeah. I
And then,
didn't catch the play on words there until you just said that.
oh, yeah. And then we see Lucas at home. He has a feather from Brooke's costume and he puts it in a box with his meds and money for safekeeping.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was cute.
Yeah. And then we see Peyton get home. Larry is still up reading the newspaper. He explained that's what fathers do, wait up for their daughters. And he asks Payne if she talked to Ellie, and Payne says, yeah, but she didn't have to ask who her real father is. She already knows. And that was
Oh,
sweet. And then we go to Ellie's motel room where she's drawing Peyton as the angel of death. So obviously she lied to Peyton about not being a draw. And
that's
then we
not a
see,
good foot to step up on.
yeah. And then we see Nathan at home taking off the necklace with his wedding ring. And then we see
Ooh,
Chris getting to his place where a Batman costume is on the couch.
yep, yep. Chris
Hmm.
kissed her. How
Yeah.
did
So,
she never know that was Chris? She kissed them both. She know what they both
yeah.
kissed her.
Hmm. Yeah, you would think. I don't know. I guess she was just, so just really hoping it was Nathan and that things were finally turning out the way she wanted, I guess. Like, just caught up
Yeah,
in
so
that
in
fantasy.
her head, she probably just like made it, okay, this is Nathan. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess why would she question it too much when that was what Nathan was wearing earlier?
Right. And why would Chris be there of all places?
Exactly. Dressed as the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah. So what were your highs and lows for this?
Oh. My high is seeing Lucas dressed up as Tommy Lee because I thought it was funny. My low is the fact that Peyton's birth mom is lying to her already.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little lie, it's a lie, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
How about yours?
Well, my high was just for the entertainment of it all with Dan and Deb.
Yes, it was so funny.
Hmm. And then my low, is Peyton, because with Ellie, like she said, everybody's saying like she's gonna lose two moms now, but at least she does get a
Yeah.
chance to get to know one mom at least.
Yes.
Even though it was spraying on her, out of nowhere after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then rating,
Give this episode an 8 because it really held my attention the whole time and I enjoyed all the different storylines going on.
yeah, I'd say 8.5 was really entertaining for this one.
Yes.
And
And
then best and worst.
worst characters. My best character would probably be Brooke for being a supportive friend.
Yeah.
Then my worst would be Dan Scott for being his manipulative self.
Hmm. Yeah, mine are the same too. Best is Brooke because she was trying to help out Haley and
Yes.
bring her to the help her with her costume and bring her to the party to get Nathan back. Um, and then the worst is Dan just because he's using his divorce with Deb, in his favor to win the campaign to make it look like he has this perfect marriage and make him look like a great husband and all that. So
Yes. Oh
yeah.
God. He's just the worst, but he's so entertaining.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see how that all plays out because it's been a while since I watched the show and I kind of forget how it goes. And I know there'll be a lot of entertaining things to come with Dan and his political career.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for joining me today, Jaycee.
Yeah, it was good to talk to you and be back on Duo Chat.
Yeah. Hopefully the three of us can come back together soon.
Yes, absolutely. That'd be fun. It's been a while.
Yep. Okay. So thanks everybody for listening and we'll see you next time. Oh, I
See
forgot. Our
ya.
next episode is episode 5, A Multitude of Casualties. So yeah. Yep. We'll see ya.
Everybody.
Thanks
All
for
right,
listening.
bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.